4 years ago, we faded into the shadows. We thrived. We evolved. Now the time has come for us to step back into the light.
So StarCraft 2, the story that we're focusing on is the Zerg are back. Right? It's been, in story terms, it's been 4 years since the Zerg last swept across the universe, led by Sarah Kerrigan, who is the former love interest of Jim Raynor. So a very interesting dynamic there where Jim Raynor, the cowboy freedom fighter, is going to have to face his former love, who now is out to basically destroy the universe.
The idealistic goals that we had was to make each level feel different, and not just from the standpoint of you start on the upper right here and you start down here. There's a different gimmick really to it that you have to figure out and work with. Meanwhile, you're still at the core dealing with the basics. You know, maybe not always economy or whatever, but that they feel very different going from mission to mission. Some are built on constructing an army and going places, but what you have to accomplish within them is unique. And we, I think, have really struck that. For me personally, that's only part of the picture. It's how it ends up playing into the story. Then you come out of story mode and you get these big, or come out of the levels and missions into story mode, and then you get these big payouts.
We're also dealing with Arcturus Minsk, who is this emperor for the Dominion. He's a tyrannical despot. And so the battle against tyranny and the underlying love story between Jim Raynor and Sarah Kerrigan will play out, which was begun in StarCraft 1 and will wrap up over the next 3 games.
There's more content across the campaign than we've had in any of our previous games. We've gotten a lot of various bits of feedback when we talked about it being 3 chapters. But this is by itself the biggest single-player campaign we've done, I think, by far, especially from a content perspective for sure. And even in time, I think in general, just playing through it takes that long. And the fun factor of it all is our best.
The storytelling has advanced in StarCraft 2 in a number of different ways, and it's very exciting for us because there's a lot more freedom to tell the story. We're exploring all kinds of opportunities from the hub where you can go and you can talk to these different characters in between missions, to something that we're trying out for the first time, which is branching missions. So for the first time, you'll be able to actually guide the destiny of a character that you're playing or that you're involved with in the game. That's something we've never been able to do before, and it gives kind of a choose-your-own adventure aspect to the game, which is something we're all very excited about.
One of the things we set out to do with StarCraft 2 was to make the single-player game as just epic and huge as it could possibly be, which means we, at the end of the day, have a bunch of units that exist only in the solo play campaign that don't exist online in the multiplayer experience. We sort of embrace this idea and say, hey, you know, we want this solo play game to be awesome, which means it's going to have a different set of units, which means you won't have the same strategies from the campaign to the multiplayer experience. And this lets us make an awesome, huge solo play game, and at the same time keep a really tight, really focused sort of competitive experience for the multiplayer online game. But it does mean there can be a disconnect for players between the two. So one of the things we've done to try to sort of bridge this gap for players, we provided these challenge missions which will teach you some of the key skills and key knowledge you need to transition from the campaign to the multiplayer experience.
We are very focused on balance. It's going great, but there's another group of people that are getting invited into the beta that then use it as a demo of StarCraft 2. And that's just a very small part. And we're specifically not doing some things with the beta because we worry about the land grab, you know, going off to go, for example, we don't have AI in the game right now. We have very easy, we want it there as a sandbox so people can just build up and look at the tech tree and that sort of thing. But we didn't want to put the full AIs in there because especially now that people have been playing for a while, we feel like people are going to run over and just look at that. And we really do need them playing the head-to-head thing.
The beta's going very well. We've had a lot of great insight from our fans. We're seeing lots of great changes sort of come across our desk and giving a chance to do many, many patches. We're up to, I think, patch 9. We're working on patch 10 right now to get it out in front of people. We've already stamped out and dealt with a lot of unstoppable rushes. We've kept the rushes in the game. It's very important to us. The rush is a core part of the StarCraft 2 experience. But we've managed to fix a lot of those. We've done a lot of great work on our mirror matchups. Specifically, Zerg versus Zerg was not a great matchup until a few weeks ago, and we think it's getting to be a much better matchup now, but we're going to continue to watch that, as well as all of our other matchups, to make sure we meet the highest quality standards when we finally launch the game.
Our main purpose with the beta is truly testing, so it is 1v1, 2v2. It is putting people against each other of like skill, so we can really look at those numbers, understand what it is, get it right for ship. That takes time to do. I would even say we're still probably months away from really seeing it. Dustin gave an example this morning in the little conference that we had where he talked about the differences per region.
The Zerg are very dominant in Korea, and they're extremely weak in the United States, and they're somewhere in the middle in Europe. So all over the world, we're seeing players with different play styles, different play abilities maybe, certainly different ideas about what should and shouldn't work in the game. It's very challenging for us to balance at this point. We don't want to make separate versions for different countries, so what we really need to do at this point is sort of watch, wait and see, collect a lot of data, and see sort of, where the truth really lies between all of these different play styles we're seeing all over the world.
I hope that people will give it the opportunity to understand that this is only a very small part of the game. I mean, it's at the core of the game, but it's still ultimately there's all these other ways that we want people to play, and people can play the game when it ultimately releases.
We're just trying to create the best quality experience we can possibly create. At the end of the day, it is up to the fans what they will choose to play. We've been wrong so many times at Blizzard about what our fans will do with our games, how excited they'll be about our games, and so it's really, we don't know what's going to happen. We're just really hopeful that the game hits a quality bar for ourselves and for our hardest core fans, that we can all look at the game and go, yes, this is a game that is worthy of carrying the StarCraft 2 name.
StarCraft 2 is scheduled for release on the PC and Mac in many different countries and languages. Middle part of this year is our best guess at this time. We haven't set a final launch date yet.